right, you've got Deanna Casey
and Joe Casey.
And we are coming to you with an update for our Fall M class, which will be held Friday, September 27th, here at our Lufkin facility. And we've got lots of good topics coming up for this fall.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. We're going to start at 9:30. We should be done by 3:30. And we're going to talk about the PA-46 accidents that have happened in the last year. There's been entirely too many of them. There's been some fatals that have happened, way too many. And we're going to break down those accidents as part of our subject material that we're going to talk about. I hope you'll join us on September 27th or the 28th, rainout day, here in Lufkin, Texas.
We look forward to having you here.
Hey, welcome to the Malibu Guru podcast. And we're also on YouTube. I guess it's a YouTube podcast as well. And today I've got a great friend of mine named Eric Wilke. Eric's from College Station, and he used to own a JetPROP and now owns an M600. So we're going to get to hear how that story goes. And but for a little bit, let's just let Eric, welcome to the Malibu Guru podcast.
Thank you, Joe. It's good to be here.
So, hey, first off, I got to tell you, I literally just came back from Oshkosh. So I got my cool shirt. I got my very loud Oshkosh shirt on. So we're still in Oshkosh.
Like I said,
mode.
I think it's not crossing the line.
We're good. It's not too loud.
No. And you can, like I said, you could go up. You can take it up some more.
I will say this is the Wright brothers. They you can get them at Sporties, probably made by Sporties as well. I don't know, but anyway, Wright brothers shirts. Man, they fit great. They're thin. And I bought like 3 of them last year and bought like 5 of them this year. So this is one of my loud Oshkosh shirts.
Well, speaking of Wright brothers,
yeah,
have you read the book?
No.
So my wife gave me that for Christmas. It was fantastic.
Really?
Yeah, just amazing. Like what they pulled off, and it's definitely worth the read.
Okay, I actually have the book, and I haven't read it. I've got like 8 books sitting on my thing, and it's weird because I am a book reader. I mean, I read somewhere around between 70 and 80 books a year. Like I'm a pretty prolific reader. And that's on the list, but I need to move it up.
You probably need to move it up. It was fantastic.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, so hey, let's get into this because you used to own a JetPROP, now you own an M600. In a phrase, are you happy you did it?
Oh yeah, it was a fantastic move. Yeah, and so it's been a stepwise process. I started flying late in life, and so you're worried, am I going to be one of those stupid people that tries to kill themselves? So I started off with a
it's called the doctor killer, and you're a doctor.
Yeah, exactly. So I did research and great safety profile. So I got the Diamond DA40.
Okay, so hold on. How long ago did you? How long? And how long did you first get into aviation?
Well, it took forever. I was doing the typical fly on Saturday, and then life is busy, so you go for a while, and then you're like, oh, let me take another lesson, and it was taking so long.
Yes.
So I bought a DA40.
Okay.
Without having a pilot license.
All right.
And so I'm threw my hat over the ring. So it's like either I wasted a lot of money or I need to get this done. And so then I hired somebody and we just flew for 10 days straight and then took the check ride, which is the way to do it. And then a friend of mine said, don't stop, do the same thing, get your instrument. But of course I didn't listen to him. Flew VFR for a long time and then said, all right, let's do the same thing and got the instrument ticket.
Did you do the instrument ticket in the DA40?
I did. I flew that for a good while. My wife, who is not necessarily an aviation lover,
right?
Her dad was a pilot, and so when we were flying back from New Orleans, and it's in the summer, and the DA-40 weighs nothing; it's a kite, and every little bit of summer turbulence in Texas, she thought the plane was going to flip upside down and crash.
Right.
So she was miserable, and so I blame her for then selling that and getting a Cirrus.
Okay.
So I had the SR-22 turbo,
which probably felt like to her a big jump up.
A big jump. And
now you've got some weight. Now you've got
she's got the parachute,
right. And specifically, before we leave that, the amount of turbulence that you feel in an airplane is related to what's called wing loading. In other words, you take the gross weight of the airplane, and then you find the surface area of the wing.
That Diamond's got a long wing.
Yeah, exactly. The Diamond has very light weight and a big gigantic wing compared to a sail. It's almost like a sailplane, and you feel every bump in the world. Probably the one you feel the most in is a powered paraglider, where you have, whatever the weight of the person plus their little bitty engine with this enormous wing up there, you're going to feel every single bump there is. Probably the one that comes to mind would be a T-38. That would be the opposite end of the spectrum. A lot of weight on these little bitty wings that, takes, I don't know what the T-38 takes off on, but it's, probably doing 120 when it leaves the ground and landing at 140 or, something ridiculously high number, because you got this little bitty wing. You could probably fly that thing through moderate turbulence and the guy would, be able to drink water,
Right.
So it really comes down not just the weight of the airplane, but it's called wing loading. And definitely the DA-40 is going to have higher wing loading. So you move to a Cirrus, you get more weight on probably a little bit bigger wing, but the wing loading, the ratio is greater on the Cirrus.
Right. Well, and like I said, I blame my wife for all the plane purchases that we've had.
You don't blame, you thank.
Yeah, exactly. So we were coming back from Phoenix in the Cirrus. I want to get the jet stream, so we go up high, put on oxygen, and haul and butt back to Texas. But every time we'd get up high, even with the oxygen, she would just feel miserable for 24, 48 hours.
That's right.
And
the rule here is even if you're 100% oxygen, your lungs get the transfer of 100% oxygen over from the air across the membrane over to the blood, but there's nothing forcing that oxygen into the cell itself other than atmospheric pressure. So it's good to have oxygen. It's great. But still, it's not as good.
No, and even when we go hiking in Colorado, if we don't spend time getting acclimated, she'll get headaches and a little bit of altitude type sickness. So we were flying with a friend of mine who had a what did he have, a TBM, and so she was in the back and it was pressurized and we're up high. And she liked that pretty good. So then we were in the car and we're talking about flying, and she looks over and she goes TBM. And I'm like, uh-oh. So TBM's a little bit out of my price range. So it started. The next one was the JetPROP.
You're gonna have to say, go to work.
Yeah, right. Get a better job.
Make
Get
some
a better
money.
Job. Right. So yeah. So then we got it was 1985 airframe.
Oh, for the JetPROP.
For the JetPROP.
Yep.
And was great. Loved it.
Hold on, before we leave that right there, because I know part of this story. There's a team of people, basically 3 people that we used to deal with all the time, called the College Trio. And I'm just telling you, we had a barrel of fun with the College Trio. They kind of entered my life when I was just really beginning to really get heavily involved, owning my own company and having more employees and really get, anyway, the College Trio, 3 people that were just fantastic, to us. Brandon, Dave was just, and Gene were just singularly outstanding people. And they're out of the, 2 of them are out of the PA-46 world now. But Brandon's still there,
right,
and owned your airplane,
right. Well, we were getting in the Cirrus. My son was in the Corps at A&M, and is now an instructor pilot with the Air Force. But he had some cadets that were thinking about flying, but had not been in a small plane before. So on Saturdays we'd take a bunch of these cadets and just zip around. So Brandon was walking by as we're getting loaded. And I'm like, my wife has been chanting about pressurization. I need to talk to you about your JetPROP. He's like, well, I'm selling it. I'm like, oh, really? And he's like, yeah. And I actually have an offer on it, but I'd like it to go to somebody I know, et cetera. So we came and visited you and took a look at the plane. You were a good salesman.
Was I?
You were good.
Okay.
Yeah, my wife. You did a good job with my wife. And then. So then we were at HEB, and I'm like, never make a quick decision. Let's think about it for 24, 48 hours. I don't think she's thought that long. We were walking in HEB. She's like, you should get that airplane. I'm like, done. Yeah, like a joke. Throw all the paperwork up. Let's go.
There's a repetitive theme that seems to be going on here, that you married pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a whole lot
ways than one.
There's going to be a lot of dudes listening to this podcast going, hey, man.
She loves college football. Right. So
she loves college football.
She lets me go hunting. We get to, she makes me buy better planes. It's great.
It's great. It's a great thing. I'm telling you, married. I don't know if you married up or not. But
Oh,
you
I
married
totally
well. You married well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I say she married me for my car back in the day. I had a Geo Metro 3-cylinder. It was a beast.
A Geo Metro. Let me just tell you, that is not a beast at all. There's not pressurized. There's nothing good about that car.
No.
I remember the Geo Metros. There's no one that has those anymore.
It's like the opposite of a muscle car.
Yeah, the exact opposite of it. But great gas mileage, huh?
Right. Yeah, you filled it up maybe once every 3 months.
Exactly.
Hey everyone, Joe and Deanna Casey here, and we are here to talk about the Master Aviator program because we here at Casey Aviation, Joe and I specifically, think the Master Aviator program makes pilots more proficient, more safe, and less prone to accidents that are preventable by the pilot.
Yeah, the Master Aviator, to get started in the Master Aviator program, you have to fly 100 hours a year, and you have to have a mid-year training event. And there's lots of those different training events that you can do. And then to move up to the Senior Aviator,
you get a tail wheel endorsement. So we're tackling one of the problems where we like to call dead feet in the pilot community, but getting a tail wheel endorsement will help you learn to master those landings.
and then the last step is the Master Aviator status. You already have to be an aviator, Senior Aviator, and then when you go to stall spin training and learn about the most deadly event that we have in aviation, which is the stall spin accident, and actually go do some spins, then you get awarded the Master Aviator. So it's a great program, and we think it's something very worthwhile.
Yeah, so first, if you're not a member of PMOPA, the Piper M-Class Owners and Pilots Association, go to pomopa.com and sign up. Once you're there, go to the Safety tab on their homepage, click on the Master Aviator Program link, and it'll take you straight to the application and all the details you need.
We're both Master Aviators, and we think it's a great program that really helps the safety and accident record within the PMOPA, the M-Class community.
Absolutely. We'd love to stand with you guys at Austin when you receive your award.
So, got into the M6 or got into the JetPROP. Did the JetPROP change the perspective for your wife?
Oh yeah, like pressurization was a game changer for us.
Right.
And you just get farther faster.
Yeah.
So
smoother, good climb.
Yeah.
Good climb. Yeah, you had. I mean, the JetPROP's no Geo Metro.
Right. And I would have been happy, with the staying in the JetPROP. I wasn't looking to move up to the M600, but we, with the business, we've got a lot going on, and there was going to be some pass through income that doesn't. You're a business owner. The business can earn income that you're responsible for the taxes, but that doesn't always wind up in your bank account.
Right.
And so from the prior administration, they had the bonus depreciation.
Right.
And so I was talking to the accountant. It's like, how do I mitigate, this ugly bill that's staring me in the face? And she's like, well, get an airplane. I'm like, are you serious? And she's like, well, bonus depreciation.
Did your wife call your accountant?
I don't know. So we went through that, and so we tried to pick a price point that basically helped, defer some taxes and give us an asset. So that's how we got into the M600.
Yeah. And so, just a better airplane. In this case, she had an 85 Malibu. I will tell you, great airplane. I knew the airplane well. Gene was actually the buyer, like the guy that went and negotiated that. And he's such a great negotiator. He bought that airplane well, and it was just really wise as far as that's concerned. And what a great airplane. Low hours on the engine, but still 85 model.
Right.
And if I remember right, Dash 21 on the engine.
It was.
And which, again, nothing wrong with the Dash 21. I love the Dash 21. I think it's wonderful. But when you went from a JetPROP to an M600, you picked up probably 40 knots, maybe 50 knots. I mean, a good healthy, it's faster airplane.
Well, not only that, you get to, 220, trying to get to 250. In the Dash 21, it gets a little anemic.
Very anemic. Yeah, you're down to probably 500 feet a minute or something. Once it's a JetPROP, the Dash 21 is going to jump off the runway, climb at 2,000 feet a minute or 1,500, a good number. We're a healthy climb. But the Dash 21, when you get to about, I don't know, probably 10 to 12,000, depending upon the ISA, what's the International Standard Atmosphere Temperature is. If it's really hot, it's going to be lower. It's really cold, it's going to be higher. But somewhere around there, you're already ITT limited. and the torque is coming down. And as you get up to 25,000 on your way to 27, that last, 2,000, 3,000 feet a minute are going to be at 500, 600 feet a minute, just anemic.
Right. One of the tricks, I'd level off, I'd get some speed, and then I'd pitch up, do a step up, level up,
Yeah, they call it a step climb. Step climb. And usually you think of step climbs with jets. Like a jet will do the same thing. There's some jets like I used to fly a Citation II, good fast airplane, would cruise at 300 feet, 350, 360 knots. But it'd be the same thing. You want to go to 38,000 in that jet. The last 3,000 feet are at 500 feet a minute. So you do a step climb. You level off, let the airplane accelerate, and then go up a little bit higher, and then go. Burn off some fuel is oftentimes. And in a Dash 21, you got to do that sometimes. Yeah. Dash 35, you're going to get better climb, especially in the higher. In other words, when you're that last 3,000 or 4,000 feet a minute, you got more oomph. The glory of an M600 is you're rarely ITT limited at all. You're almost always torque limited, which means you're still climbing at 1,000 to 1,200 feet a minute when you're leveling off at 280.
Yeah.
And so now when you're on, and plus you picked up a longer flight. I remember this being a part of it too.
Yeah. So one of my main missions is traveling from here to Phoenix because our corporate office is in Phoenix. So going against the winds, it was always land in El Paso, refuel, and then punch over. So this is now a nonstop flight.
Right.
Even with 50 knot headwinds.
Exactly. So now, from your hometown, College Station, going to Phoenix, nonstop every time. I mean, maybe you got 100 knot on the nose, and honestly, if you got that, you probably wait a day, just because it's 100 knots on the nose is so painful anyway. But still, you can make it there. Yeah. And in other words, the M600, legitimately, you can take off with the M600 from College Station or anywhere in the central United States, and assuming no wind,
you can make it to either coast.
Either coast. Range rings will go all the way out from Miami to Seattle, Los Angeles to Bangor, Maine. I mean, you literally get all the way to. It's got tremendous range.
Well, we went. So my daughter, I got two kids. They're both in the Air Force. My daughter's the older one.
Way to go!
That's right. Right.
Yeah,
we raised them well.
Right.
And so she was stationed in Fairbanks, Alaska, and so her next. So she's security forces, and so she's kind of doing an off training, rotation. So she's actually going to be a ROTC instructor at Texas A&M.
Perfect.
So we'll get to be close. Yeah, have her close to home for 3 years, which will be fantastic. But she was driving, the 70 hours it takes to go from Fairbanks back to College Station. So the halfway point was Calgary. So she was going to be there around July 4th. So we're like, let's get out of the heat.
Hey.
I've never been to Banff before.
There you go.
So we're like, all right, let's go up there.
Let's go.
So we flew to Durango, and we had some friends that lived there, so we spent the night with them. Got to break up the flight, and
and no problem out of Durango, was it?
Oh no!
I mean, even though it's high altitude and hot in the summer.
Well, and they've got a long runway, but it was hot. Density altitude was summer,
way up there,
right? And I'm full fuel. It's just two of us with some luggage. I mean, we have a decent amount of luggage. We were off the runway a lot faster than I thought.
Yeah, and the M600 handles that without any trouble. The JetPROP would do the same, but the M600, no trouble whatsoever. So it's a good stop to go up to Banff.
Yeah, and so it was a lot of fun flying international. I'm now an international pilot, right? And
there you go. Woo-woo.
So thanks to Deanna for helping me out, get her on the text and the call. It's like, oh, do this, do that. So it was perfect. I got overflight exemption. Everything went really well.
Before I leave that, we're in a great place in time where there's two places that are just really easy to go, and you can literally get the experience on the phone. We get these kind of calls all the time. How do you go to Canada? How do you go to the Bahamas? Mm-hmm. Either one of those you can do. Yep. I mean, you can get with somebody, either me, Deanna, somebody that knows what's going on, and that's done it a bunch of times before, and sort of get the lay of the land of how to do it. And once you've done it, not a hard deal.
No, it was kind of fun, walking through the process and get your sticker, get your radio license for the plane, and then CanPass was super easy to work with. Yeah. U.S. Customs was super easy to work with. Everybody was really nice.
Yeah. And so you went all the way to Canada. Turned out to be a good trip.
It was fantastic.
Yeah.
Out of the Texas heat. It was great.
Yeah, exactly. And the Texas heat can be rough. Last year was rougher. This year's actually been a pretty kind summer. A lot of moisture, but still it's been better. But still, when I go on a trip, I want to go north in the summer.
Yep.
Yeah, that's for sure. Okay, so the M600 has been a blessing for you in this respect. Have you had any mechanical troubles?
Well, I have had one, and that's why I'm here today.
Yeah.
So probable bird strike on the radar pod, and I think some goo went into the pitot tube.
Yeah, and nothing you can do with that. Meaning it's a bird strike, and if it's a small bird, they won't leave a dent. If it's a big one, it will. But I will tell you the glory of the M600 is all the other PA-46s have a leading edge that if it gets dented by a bird, it's very difficult to repair and usually ends up with a wing, the entire wing replacement, because it's all one skin. But when they made the M600, the leading edge of that M600 is replaceable. So you can have a bird strike and just replace a portion of it, and it makes it way cheaper to be able to fix, and you don't have to replace a wing. It's just Piper did a wonderful job in this aspect, because guess what? There are birds in the world, and we hit them fairly often. You probably hit a small one because you just ended up with, a splotch, and
it turned it into absolute.
It was goof. Yeah, exactly. It was a grenade, and part of the shrapnel from the grenade went off into the pitot tube, which again, this is why we have pilots on board, because when that happened, your airspeed probably went to 0, and you now got to figure that out. You got to deal with that.
Well, the nice thing with the M600, we've got,
redundancy.
2 PFDs, and I've got 2 pitot tubes, and so the right one goes down and airspeed's out, and you get the warning that it's not getting it, but the left side, I'm all good.
Yeah, continue mission.
Yeah, because that happened right before we went to Canada. So I'm calling up here to be like, is this something we scrub the trip or keep the trip, and so.
Well, that's great. It's good that you were able to fly the trip, and good you're able to get it fixed. Which getting it fixed, by the time this comes out, people will know that we've got a maintenance facility here at Casey Aviation Services, and by the way, you're our very first customer.
Customer number one.
Customer number one. You're the number one, baby. When we appreciate that, but I think you came to us more for location.
Oh, yeah.
We're just here, which is great because, you are the first customer for Casey Aviation Services, and we are ramping up things. We're changing all that we're doing. We'll have a podcast specifically about that. But you are number one, so thank you very much.
That's good, because it's in College Station we've got a few maintenance people, but they're mostly dealing with the flight school, and they've got 4 planes down, so they're swamped. I'm like, I'd love to help you, can't get to you, and so then you start looking around, and you're 25 minutes away from me, so.
Yeah, it's location. Yeah, for sure.
Hey, it's Eric, and I'm interrupting the podcast to let you know about a special deal. Joe wants to offer a special discount to our podcast listeners on the first 10 annual inspections, reducing the base rate from $8,000 to just $6,000. To schedule your inspection, a deposit of $15,000 is required, which will be credited to the total cost of inspection. Our expert team is ready to provide you top-notch maintenance, ensuring your PA-46 remains safe and reliable. Don't miss this exclusive offer. Call us today to schedule your inspection, and thank you for choosing Casey Aviation Services. Now back to the podcast.
Okay, so talk to that person that's out there flying around either in a piston, like so let's say a Mirage, or flying a JetPROP around, and they've got further to go. They don't want to stop. They're looking at range. They're looking at a bigger airplane with more costs involved. The move to an M600 from a JetPROP to an M600, do you feel the cost difference?
A little bit. The fuel's maybe 20% more.
Yeah.
Just as a gestalt. I haven't really calculated that out, just kind of as a rough feel.
If I were to guess your cruise numbers in that scenario, probably 28, 29 gallons an hour in a Dash 21, you're probably 43 to 45 in the M600, depending upon your power setting.
Yeah, so I'll have to do the math real quick, but it's probably about 320 pounds per hour.
Yeah. So it's about numbers that we're talking about here. So you see that, you feel that, but you also feel the fact that you were cruising around at 240 knots, and now you're cruising around 275, 280 knots, maybe a little faster in the right scenarios. And You're able to get up to altitude quicker and easier.
And this plane's RVSM.
RVSM capable, so now you can go up to 30. So
I think 32 is the ceiling. And, just that doesn't get over all the weather, but in the summer when there's these pop-ups, it's, I like the higher the better.
And especially the higher you go, the lower the fuel burn. So you hit a place with an M600, especially an RVSM and M600, where you're making this choice. Because if you're at 30,000 in an M600, your cabin's going to be at 10,000 or a little bit above. And if you're a person that's fit, in other words, cardiovascularly, you're okay. You could even put a pulse oximeter on your finger and kind of make sure that you're...
Or an Apple Watch.
Or an Apple Watch. Or a Garmin watch.
Or a Garmin watch.
Yeah, there's all kind of good... The point is there's all kind of options nowadays where you can fly at a higher cabin altitude with data to be able to tell you that you're safe. In other words, if I'm flying at 10,500 in an airplane that I can fly high in... The other day I was in a King Air B100 flying at 25,000 feet, which means my cabin's at 10,500 because it's got a 4.1 differential pressure, not very big. Literally looking at my watch, which actually has signals that if my oxygen saturation gets below 90, it dings at me. And I got some safeguards in there.
Right. So we've got a finger pulse ox just in the plane, but as a backup, and then we've got the watch. And the other is I play solitaire. If I start losing too many games, I check my pulse ox.
Check your pulse ox. That's why I got my butt kicked. Yeah, I see. Yeah, you're a funny guy. So, M600, good move.
Yeah, I'm very happy with it. And the G3000 is just sweet. Like, it's really nice.
Yeah. Is there any move up potential in your future, or are you happy right here?
I say no, but I've said no before.
Right.
Right. Although the thing that I sort of fantasize about a little bit, the M600 is a fantastic plane when you want to go somewhere. It's not a great plane when you wake up Saturday morning and you're like, let's do some scud running on the Brazos River. Right. So maybe I need an RV.
An RV would be good, a tailwheel airplane. I will tell you, anybody that owns a PA-46 or any owner-flown airplane, having that second airplane, an Aeronca Champ, I will tell you, you're going to think I'm a little bit, but a Pitts S2B, an aerobatic airplane, a Game Bird. Anything that I would buy would be a tailwheel airplane because you get the benefits of tailwheel and you get the benefits of a small place in your hangar. In other words, if you own a box hangar, not a T hangar, box hangar, where you can fit a couple other little airplanes off on the side. I mean, you can buy an Aeronca Champ for $20,000 and it burns 4 gallons an hour, and you get tailwheel experience to go run her up and down have a fun airplane to go goof off in.
Well, I need something that's aerobatic capable because my son always sends me stuff like, it was amazing. Like the military training for pilots is fantastic, right?
Right.
So he caught up to me so fast and has exceeded me, and he's always sending me stuff, and I went from being jealous to now being a little bitter. Like he's just doing really cool, fun things, and so that's fun. It's like, well, I need something that I can be like, well, I did a barrel roll too.
Yeah, I have a friend of mine that is selling his Game Bird, and I am super like if I weren't opening up a maintenance facility and dumping all kind of money into that, I'd be dumping money into a Game Bird. Because I can't think of a more fun airplane to go out and fly. But you ought to get creative and think about this from a perspective of what would be fun. And like you say, going up doing aerobatics, come back and land in a tailwheel airplane makes you a way better M600 pilot or JetPROP pilot or whatever you happen to be flying. So that's for sure.
Yeah, now we just have to, I don't think my wife's going to be like, you should go get an aerobatic airplane.
Well, hold on. What you need to talk about is safety numbers and how the Master Aviator program, you have to have a tailwheel endorsement for the Master Aviator program for PMOPA to be able to get your wings. So, you need this airplane for safety.
That's right. It's right. I'm just thinking of everybody else.
That's right. Exactly right. Eric Wilke, M600 owner, former JetPROP owner. And you can tell there's some advantages to a JetPROP over a piston, and you can tell there's some advantages for an M600 over a JetPROP. I personally think the M600 is the finest airplane Piper's ever made. I have yet to fly the M700. I'm sure it's better. The point is, M600 is a great airplane. JetPROP's a great airplane, but if you got a long way to go and want to carry a bunch of stuff, sit behind great avionics and one of the best engines in the world. M600 is a great place to be. And I appreciate you, Eric, and teaming up with us at the Malibu Guru podcast and telling us about your experience.
Absolutely. Thanks, Joe.
Joe Casey with Casey Aviation, signing off.